Today marks the United Nations World Population Day, and this year the theme focuses on the impact of the pandemic on fertility. COVID has claimed more than 4 million lives worldwide, but studies show it's also prompting people to hold off on having babies, raising concerns about declining birth rates. Liling Tan reports from New York.
Babe Kawaii-Bogue is a therapist living and working in San Francisco. At 37 years old, she has a master's degree, a PhD, and a successful career.
I grew up like 250% below poverty level, and I knew at a young age with a single parent mother, and a lot of my friends had single parents, that I wanted to be in a place where I could provide for children alone. So when I was 25, I decided to go to graduate school.
Grad school, however, is expensive, and a six-figure debt meant plans to start a family had to wait some more. But just as she was almost done paying, the pandemic struck.
I was 36 when the pandemic started, and I feel like I was stripped of an opportunity to meet people and to date when I was actually finally ready to do that.
Around the world, social restrictions and uncertainty around the pandemic have disrupted baby-making plans.
We've been able to see pretty clearly that in some cases fertility has dropped, apparently for this reason, that people just hesitated in the time of the pandemic to have children.
But the long-term impact remains unclear.
The world's population was already in decline before the pandemic, particularly in developed countries with lower mortality rates, birth control access, and higher cost of raising families. The concern now is that the high number of deaths from COVID-19, coupled with fewer babies being born, could make things worse for countries where the aging population has been outgrowing new births, putting even more pressure on economies and social support systems.
Falling fertility rates across Europe and Asia are threatening job markets and economies. Last year, China and the US saw the slowest population growth in decades.
So when you go to a point where you have not just population aging, but extreme population aging, which occurs because a fertility rate of below 1.5 children per woman, if that's maintained for several decades, that starts to produce really rapid population aging and eventually population decline. That produces a kind of imbalance that's more difficult to deal with.
Governments have tried to incentivize baby making, adjust retirement ages, encourage immigration, and draw more women into the workforce. But for Babe Kawaii-Bogue, that's a different kind of balancing act.
There's so many systems and structures that are extremely patriarchal, that don't take into consideration women's careers, their lives. And had I been a 25-year-old who was supported by my partner, who was a man, to continue my career, I probably would have had kids by now.
It's a common challenge for women, made worse by the pandemic. The question is whether COVID-19 is just delaying baby making, or if it will have lasting consequences on a world population already under pressure. Liling Tan, CGTN, New York.